So good afternoon, everyone. My name's Peter Kilcoyne, Managing Director for TeacherMatic. So just want to quickly go through what you can expect today. So begin by introductions as we're doing, and please do introduce yourself in the chat so we know who's here. We've got people here from schools, colleges and universities, so very much going across the whole education sector. So what we're going to be doing today is I'll be kicking off with a bit of an overview of TeacherMatic and then handing over to my colleague Sam, who's going to do a short demonstration of some of the teaching and learning tools. Part of the theme of today is the impact of AI and TeacherMatic specifically on staff wellbeing. So I'll be talking a little bit about that and focusing a little bit on the topic of assessment and showing you some of our new assessment tools, which can make a big difference to staff workloads and therefore hopefully to staff wellbeing. We're then going to hand over to certainly the most important person in this webinar, Gulev, who's from the Connect Education Trust in London, a group of Multi-Academy Trust, a group of schools there. Gulev leads on the digital at that group of schools, and she's going to be talking about how they've implemented TeacherMatic, why they chose it, and some examples of how it's being used. Okay, so what is TeacherMatic? So TeacherMatic is an AI toolkit designed for everyone working in education. It started out very much as a teacher toolkit, but over time it's evolved. So it's got tools for managers, for HR, careers, student support, business support, all the roles across schools, colleges and universities. There are tools in there for planning, teaching, learner assessment, for marking, for feedback, and many, many other different tasks. A key thing about TeacherMatic is how we build our platform. And TeacherMatic, from day one, we're now well into our fourth year of working with education providers, has been built using a co-design methodology. So it's not a matter of the company, and I think it's important to say that myself, Sam, the other two founders, we are all education professionals, we're all ex-teachers, but we don't give you the tools that we think you need. We take the ideas from our customers, they tell us the tools they want, and we work with them to build these tools. So all of the tools in TeacherMatic are co-designed and co-built by ourselves and current education professionals. They are very much designed to be accessible and easy to use. And this was really one of the main reasons that we decided to build TeacherMatic in the first place, that when we first saw ChatGPT around about 5 years ago when it first appeared, we were blown away. We could see how powerful this could be in education, but it was pretty clear, and myself and Esam had roles supporting teachers using technology, that most teachers would struggle with prompt engineering and getting the best out of this technology. And we wanted to build a platform that was very easy to democratize the use of AI, to make it accessible to any education professional, regardless of how confident or not they are using digital. There's a number of dangers and challenges with AI, and one of them is that there are biases built into these large language models, and something we've worked very hard on in TeacherMatic is to remove those biases, and we do have ethical filters to do that. So you'll find our responses are much fairer and less biases. Another key thing that schools, colleges and universities need is to know that our data is secure, and if any IT people are here, and we often get asked these questions, that anything you put into TeacherMatic is safe, it goes nowhere, it doesn't feed any large language models, it's on UK-based Azure servers, so you're quite safe putting any student information, any student work, any information about your organisation with no worries about it leaking out. Sustainability is also a big issue around AI. We're all very aware of the impact that AI can potentially have in terms of its carbon footprint and its water footprint. And while we can't say we're completely carbon neutral, we are working using Microsoft Azure servers, which aim to be carbon neutral by 2030. That's the Microsoft aim, and that's why we've chosen those. And the feature of TeacherMatic compared to using native applications such as ChatGPT is you need far fewer iterations to get to the right answer, because you're not doing all that continual prompting. You're making less use of the actual AI, and you'll see that in Ethan's demonstration shortly. Another key feature of TeacherMatic, and reflects the audience we have here today, is it's built for all sectors and all roles. So this works, GULED works in the primary sector, and we work through to postgraduate in university. So it can be used at any level. And while we started off as a teacher toolkit, we've got a whole range of tools, and this screen here is some of the tools we've got for senior leaders, for example. So policies, strategies, preparing for inspections, dealing with complaints, grievances, etc. So we have tools that cover across all of the roles in education. Bit about TeacherMatic in terms of our community. We see ourselves as very much a community based, where we work collaboratively with all of our customers. We've got over 350 organisations using TeacherMatic, over 60,000 users. We do an awful lot of regular webinars like this, sharing best practice, often with our customers contributing, sharing things. So we are very much a community thing. We do lots of events, and we provide a lot of support and training to anybody using TeacherMatic. In case any of you are not customers and you're curious about the cost, you're looking at typically it's about £30 per user per year. So if you've got 100 staff in your organisation, you're looking at £3,000 per year to acquire TeacherMatic. We're very proud that we are an award-winning solution, and the year that we launched, we won the most innovative new learning technologies product of the year. Okay, I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Sam, who's going to do a 2 or 3 of the teaching tools.
Thank you very much, Peter. Excellent. So we have about 20 minutes, and I'm going to be demoing a minimum of 3 generators here today. And hopefully we'll also be able to demo a 4th as a bonus, a fun one actually, called Ask Someone Famous. So I'm going to focus on Henry VIII, which is a subject I have no idea about, by the way, right? And whether you're in primary school, secondary school, or further education, or even higher education, you can put any subject into TeacherMatic. It works across different stages and different contexts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the quiz generator and create a flipped classroom activity. And the flipped classroom strategy is, I think, a very effective strategy in terms of maximizing classroom time. So it's slightly different to homework, where homework recaps what they've learned in the classroom. The flipped classroom activity allows your learners to learn things outside of the classroom. So when they come into the classroom, you're doing some of the more higher end of Bloom's taxonomy, a more group work, and more one-to-one work. So this is something they should complete before coming into the lesson, as I said, to maximize that classroom time. Then I'm going to go and show you the worksheet generator. And finally, we'll create a lesson plan, bringing everything together. And hopefully I'll have enough time also to show you the last one. And because of time, I've pre-populated some of the fields, but I'll explain what each field is doing as we go. So this is the multiple choice questions generator. As you can see, I've already put in a subject. We're going to go for Henry VIII. And we're actually going to create a quiz based on a YouTube video. So all I've done is find a very good YouTube video. I can tell it's a really good video from the amount of views and the amount of likes. And all I do is just copy this URL. I go back to my multiple choice quiz generator. I don't have to put a title because, as you can see, uploading a file, and we can also upload files, by the way. So if you have a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF, you can also use that to generate a quiz. But for this example, I'm uploading a YouTube link. So I don't have to put the title. I can actually put a full stop, because as you can see, it says uploading a file or referencing a YouTube transcript below will take precedence over the topic title. So these are optional fields, but I'll just put history there. I'll go to 10 questions, and I've selected secondary. As you can see, we're suitable for all of the different levels within education. I've gone to secondary school, put the learner age here. And as soon as I put secondary school, under more about teaching, you get this curriculum alignment. And I'll be sharing more information about curriculum alignment within TeacherMatic in the chat pane. So I've already pre-selected everything, key stage 3, history, and there is where I put that URL. And as soon as I click generate, it'll take a few seconds to generate a very basic quiz. And then once it generates, I'll show you how we can export this quiz to Microsoft Forms in this demo, but you can also export it to Google Forms, Moodle, Kahoot, Wayground, Bluekit, Gimkit, and many other platforms here too. As you can see, it's now produced our quiz. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to export this to a Word document so we can import it into Microsoft Forms. So it's downloaded now. And as you can see, it's a very simple quiz. So what I'm going to want to do is differentiate this quiz. So this is going to target some of my more lower level learners. But using the any additional information here, what I'm going to do is just put a very simple prompt here. And I'm going to say increase the level of challenge by including questions that require interpretation, reasoning, and evaluation. So now I can click on regenerate, and it's going to produce a more complex quiz, which I'll be able to differentiate using Microsoft Teams for Education or Google or any other of the VLEs. And then what we'll do is I'll show you the process of importing this into Microsoft Forms. So while it's doing that, do log on to Forms, and the best way to log on to Forms is to go to forms.office.com, right? So it's produced that now. Let's have a look. You can see now the questions are more complex than the previous one before. So I'm also going to export that there too. So once we've exported both of these quizzes, we're going to click on Quick Import. We don't have to do this manually. We just click on Quick Import, navigate to our files. So it'll probably be in downloads. There it is. There's the first one. Double click in there, click on quiz, and in literally 5 to 6 seconds, we have a self-marking quiz. Let's also import the other one at the same time. You can see it's done, by the way. Start review. And there's our self-marking quiz. This is from the teacher's perspective, by the way. So you can easily edit these videos, as you can see. And then we'll import also the second one too. Just click on there, click on the top one here, and click on quiz. So you can easily edit these questions. But what I'm going to do, because I want it to be an engaging flipped classroom activity where I want the students to watch the video and answer the questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a new question here. I'll go for the text type question, and I will say, please summarize this video in 200 words or more. Right, there we go. We're going to make this a long answer and just push this question to be the first question. And this is where the magic happens. We're going to click on this little icon here, and it will then give us the ability to insert a video. And I'm going to insert the same video that I used to generate this quiz. If I can find that video, there it is. Click on add, and there we go. So it's some videos, they don't allow sharing. So I can see that's happened in this case. But what will happen is you'll get the video here embedded. and then you'll get the questions, and then you can use that as a classroom, a flipped classroom activity. That means when they come into the classroom, they are ready to tackle some of the more higher end of Bloom's taxonomy, like evaluate and analyze, and you're not wasting classroom time on some of the more lower level learning, such as identify and define. Okay, and that's the beauty of the flipped classroom model. Okay, so that's the flipped classroom there using the multiple choice quiz generator. And by the way, as a starter activity, when they come into the classroom, what you could do is just click on regenerate, and the starter activity could be another quiz when they walk into the classroom. And don't forget, once they complete the quiz, you'll get all that rich data in the back end, and you'll know which of the questions were the most challenging, and you can use the starter activity to tackle some of the more challenging questions. So that's the multiple choice questions generated there. Now, the next one is basically what I've done here is I've also found another video here. Right, there it is. And basically, I am going to create a worksheet. So it's going to be part of my lesson plan. And I'm going to use this worksheet as a pair activity. Right. So I'm going to put in the topic, but just like before, I don't need to put in the topic because it's coming from the transcript of the video. The area of study, I can choose the types of quizzes. I've chosen these three here. I said make the result more funky, our terminology, and then click on sector. Just like before, it allows me then to do the curriculum alignment. In this example, I've also put a learner profile in here, mixed ability year 8 class with a range of confidence levels in history, right? I put the learning needs, and I'll go into more detail about learning needs in the lesson plan, right? There's the curriculum alignment, and I can even click on some of these suggestions and add my own. For example, I could even put British values in there and some other things. I might actually click on promoting cultural capital, something that Ofsted loves to see. So there's my URL, and we have also different pedagogical models. We have Bloom's taxonomy, Rose and Shines, and I'll go into more detail about that in the lesson plan. I'm going to click on generate, and it'll take a minute or so to generate that worksheet. While it's doing that, it should take less than a minute, I believe. There is the lesson plan here. So what I've decided for the lesson topic is this topic here, the history. If your institution has their own lesson plan template, you can also produce a lesson plan based on that template too. We'll go for our own standard layout. I'm going to choose the 60 minutes. And just to let you know, you don't have to put any additional information, but this is where we have this approach or philosophy at TeacherMatic. What we have is this 80-20% rule. Get the AI to do 80% of the work for you, and the 20% is where you use your expertise, your knowledge about the learners, then to improve the AI output. And so what I've done in this any additional information is I've structured it because I've used the flipped classroom activity and I've used the worksheet. So I've just given this lesson plan more context here. So let's go back to the worksheet, and there's the worksheet, as you can see. All right, this would have taken ages, for me to create a worksheet, and look what it's done for you. So we're actually going to use this as part of the lesson plan, hence that any additional information. There's spot the mistakes.
4 minutes, Sam.
4 minutes, okay. And there you go. So let's go back here. There's the lesson plan, right? There's the sector. I put a learner group profile, and as you can see, we've also have all of these different learning needs, and I've selected dyslexia, ADHD, and English as a second language. And I've done something for adaptive teaching to create strategies for my higher level learners and lower level learners. There's the curriculum alignment. We also have these functional, essential, wider skills here. And I've turned on assessment for learning and promoting cultural capital. Because of time limits, I've already produced that lesson for you. And as you can see, this is what it's produced. We've got a new feature where you can edit the text in line here, right? And of course, you can always then export this to all of these different platforms. And then that 80-20% rule here is where I would even amend it further. So just one more generator, considering we don't have time. This one is quite fun. It's a generator that you can ask someone famous. So our character is Henry VIII. And what I want him to answer is, explain why you married 6 times and defend your decisions. This is going to be fun. Let's click on generate and see what he has to say. And there you go. So we can, of course, highlight all of this, by the way, and get it to open up in the immersive reader if we wanted to, or read aloud the section here.
The 8th, King of England, and my marital history has drawn much attention and debate. My first marriage was to Catherine of Aragon, which was arranged to strengthen the alliance between England and Spain.
And there you go. Those are 4 generators that I wanted to show you. And as you can see, we can produce lots of content within a few minutes. But going back to that 80-20%, it's done 80% of the work for me. And I'm going to use that 20% to refine it and improve the outputs. And with that, I hand over back to Peter. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, so just want to talk a little bit about well-being. And, you know, I think we're all aware that in education across all the sectors, there is a real crisis in well-being. You know, I've worked in education since the mid-80s and I've seen workloads increase over the years. And some figures there on 76% of teachers are stressed at any one time. 36% of them are at risk of clinical depression because of this, and an awful lot of burnout occurring in the sector. And you know, this is costing us in education in many ways in terms of retention. I think something like 1 in 3 NQTs drop out of schools in the first 5 years. It impacts on recruitment. If people are overstressed, it impacts on their performance, and all of this then impacts on our learners. So anything that we can do for to improve well-being and to reduce workloads is crucial. And that's really one of the main reasons why Isam, myself, and our colleagues started TeacherMatic in the first place. And there has been quite a lot of research by ourselves and others over the last few years, which show that, you know, between 2 and 10 hours per week, people are saving by using TeacherMatic. And hopefully you'd have got a bit of a snapshot there of the work that Isam was showing, how that, you know, building a multiple choice quiz you can do in a couple of minutes, where that would take over an hour. Writing a lesson plan again in a minute or so, that would be 40 minutes, an hour's work. So many, many different ways in which TeacherMatic can save people time. And yeah, those are just 2 of 150 plus different generators that we have in the toolkit. A couple of quotes. That this software has been a game changer for many staff, saving upwards of 6 to 8 hours per week from a manager in one of our customers. And one of our favourite quotes that kind of sums it all up is, "I've got my Sunday afternoons back," from one of our teachers. This is a short video.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I work at SGS College as a media teacher. TeacherMatic is one of the reasons why I'm still a teacher. I was going to leave, then I got introduced to TeacherMatic, and the software has helped me so much in being able to understand things as a neurodivergent teacher, being able to give me inspiration and support me in my lesson plannings.
So Lauren, myself and Issa met when we were doing a development day at her college, and she came to speak to us afterwards and basically said she was about to quit. She couldn't cope. And because of having TeacherMatic and the AI tools we provided her with, she was able to manage her job and carry on successfully with it. Just want to briefly now touch on assessment. And, as an ex-teacher, I remember my Sundays being ruined by big piles of marking that I had to wade through most weekends. And typically, these are the number of hours that people spend doing assessment. And the area that we've been working on in TeacherMatic recently is on sets of tools to support teachers and academics with assessment. I'm just going to briefly demonstrate some of these now. So the first one I want to show you is our advanced feedback generator. And this is a generator where, as a teacher, you can create an assignment. So what you do here is you click on the Add Assignment button, and you just tell TeacherMatic the title, the details of the assignment, the level it's at, give it some basic information. For speed, I won't fill all of those in. And then once you've done that, if you go to that assignment, you see here's one I did early where I've uploaded 9 student essays. And what you do, you simply drag and drop the essays onto here, or you click upload and multiple select things that you want to add. And what TeacherMatic then does is it writes detailed feedback about that work. So this is a level 4 psychology essay, first year undergraduate. It's marked to be given a 76% grade. And as well as writing that detailed feedback, it also creates an annotated PDF. So this is the student's work, which has been converted into PDF, and TeacherMatic writes comments onto that work. So these are AI generated comments. And then this supports what we call hybrid marking or human in the loop marking, where we don't want the AI to do all the work. The humans should certainly still be involved in assessments. And so the teacher can then edit those comments if they wish. They can delete it if they don't agree with it. They can add their own comments. So if I want to add a comment on that, you see I highlight that text and the blank comment box pops up, and I can add my own comment. And this is now our most popular generator. We released it about a month ago, having done some testing through a GIST project over the last 3 or 4 months, and it's making a massive difference. And we've got a similar generator just designed for BTEC assignments. And what this does is it marks in the BTEC kind of style, for those of you where it looks at the P1s, the P2s, the Ms, etc., and it says whether these have been achieved or not achieved, for those of you working with BTECs in vocational education. Okay, so that's just a bit of a glimpse at some of our assessment generators. And I should say that that research that we did on workload was done before we released these assessment generators. So we think that the number of hours being saved now is potentially quite a bit higher than that. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over to Gulev.
Thank you, Peter. So my name's Gulev Carriel. I'm from Connect Education Trust. We are based in North London. Just a bit of a background from our trust, that we are 8 primary school and 1 special school from 5 to 16-year-old, which is designed for children with social, emotional, mental health and communication. We're over 3,800 pupils and over 500 staff. A little bit of kind of giving you a bit of content here of our trust. There you can see we serve a real diverse community. So we are above national with English as an additional language, for example, 48%, free school meals with 34% there, and you can see SEM being again higher than national there. So we knew as a trust that we wanted to look at how we could be supporting all our learners in all our schools. I trust we use technology to enhance learning, putting pedagogical at the heart of everything we do. We want to make sure that we are very forward thinking in using technology as well, and always look at ways of where we can get our children to be able to be independent learners and be able to problem solve, communicate as well. You'll see our journey throughout our digital journey. We started really in 2018 when we were, as a trust, looking at our data, looking at our information we've got and our community of our children and where we needed to kind of invest and to put some work in. All our children in our trust has got a one-to-one device. But we have gone through that journey with making sure the infrastructure is all in place in our schools and really looked at the pedagogical practice about how we are using the technology there. We've implemented and really worked with our teachers about getting them to think about. So we had a lot of where teachers were thinking, I've got the devices, I've got the technology. Okay, this is great. I need to do something with the technology. However, really wanted those teachers and our staff to have that different shift. So from that kind of thinking about technology first, we really wanted to make that shift about getting them to think about why are they using this, the tools that they are using, what is it that they need, what is the gaps, what do they believe in, and then what's the strategy and how are they going to be putting this into place, and then what's the technology. So we had a real shift in our trust about that mindset of the use of technology. We did work with Dr. Fiona Aubrey-Smith on this because we have done a lot of research in 2 years. In about 2 years' time, within all our 8 schools, we've done a lot of research to looking at the use and how we're using it and what strategies are making this impact. Very briefly here, but where we've been looking at AI here, we really didn't want AI to replace. We know that we didn't want it to replace our teachers in any way, but we wanted them to really think about that scaffolding and that higher level thinking. So there is that 3 stages that we have been looking at very carefully, where you've got that level 1, that passive kind of knowledge coming through, and then you've got that more of that level 2 where it's that personalizing tutoring and explaining and asking the why. And then the social side of it is it's not just me and the machine, but it's that collaboration as well. So we have been thinking about these 3 pedagogical stages. And it's in, we did some work around this, where we felt where the biggest challenge for our staff to implement this way of thinking as well. So that was a bit of some of the work we moved and started considering and thinking about. We had lots of questions coming through, and I'm sure you have, and there is still those questions coming through. But we worked very closely with our leadership and really got them to think about what are their questions coming through, what are their kind of worries. You can see some of those kind of concerns there about the safety there, what are the teachers' roles, and lots of discussions around how the use and what is the impact and what are our challenges going to be moving forward with this way. We asked the question why, and everything we do, we ask, why are we doing this? We knew we needed a strategy plan. We knew we had to put this in our strategy to really get people thinking about the why are we doing. We have done surveys, we did questionnaires to staff, to our pupils, trying to really get an understanding about their knowledge and what they felt they needed and what the gaps are. Like Peter said, again, there's a lot of coming through about reducing that workload personalising learning, accessibility, lots had came out from our survey, which then had made us move forward with our thinking about the direction we needed to take. We worked very closely with a team of our leaders, of our teachers, to really consider about what is the principles about our belief. What is it that we want, and what do we want to still hold on to, and what do we really believe that we need to drive this to make it successful. And you'll see here, this is very joint thinking. It wasn't one person. It's still a draft. It still gets tweaked. The statement's still, it's been about a year now, and it's still getting tweaked because we really want to make sure that it fits everybody. And it's not only just for class teachers, but it's for admin staff as well. And it's thinking about our community, our parents, for them to have that understanding as well. So you can see there, we really wanted it to be purposely led. So we always want them to really think about, why am I using this? Is there a reason, or is there something I could be doing much more quicker? So the reason why is so important. Human in the loop, as mentioned before from Peter as well, is about making sure that we're not replacing anything. We still need to make sure that staff remain the decision makers. They are still questioning, they are still evaluating, and they are still looking at the output that these it's generating. We don't want our staff to just be doing planning, taking that planning and just following it. We really want them to think and make those decisions still. So we really made sure that that human in the loop is in our principle, and it's very clear for everybody. Accountability there, you can see, again, is making sure that everyone understands what that is and how transparent we are with that. Safety and security is so key. This was one of our starting points that we had a lot of questions around, and making sure the tools we are using, and when we were considering, when we were looking at TeacherMatic especially as well, all those questions, we were making sure that we were asking the right questions. And then exploring, having it in our teaching and learning. How is this making a difference? Is it helping us? Is it longer way? What is the impact that we are seeing in this? And then always making sure we're reviewing and reflecting. And we know that that's really important, to make sure that we're evaluating what we're doing to make sure it is the best for all our learners. You can see here as a cycle, we had the where, why, how, what, and then the impact there. So we did lots of work around the why, the beliefs, the principles, sharing this out, not only to our staff, to our community, our parents, to make sure they understood what we are trying to drive. You'll see that we had through our principles, again, this was all very jointly done in all our schools. We looked at having a guidance and what we had to include in that guidance. Surveys, pupils were involved with this as well. So what are pupils agreeing, and what we want that to look like as well with the pupils, and that voice coming from our learners as well. So lots around that kind of discussion that we had. Then the approach we took and how. So we have got a working group, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about on our next slide as well. Tools that we are using as well, and how and what tools are we using. We don't want to be using too many tools, but we want to use one or two and really make sure we use those well, and make sure that everybody is using it in that way. So it really implements, you can really implement it then into your CPD, for example, and making sure that you can follow and review your practice as well. So that was a cycle we really took to implement our way of working with TeacherMatic as well. So where it came with the how, we started with a working group with very mixed, some very new teachers, experienced teachers, senior leaders were involved with this as well. And it's still ongoing, this process that we're going. But what we wanted to do is really get teachers to really identify what is it that they want in their classroom, that they could help. And we had some really great examples from Isham as well there, where you'd see some of the TeacherMatic generators that we are using, operational for our admin staff, but also for our teaching and learning as well. And again, one that we've been looking at is smart targets, where we're looking at targets to really make that personalized for the children as well. These are some of the strands that we've been really working with our pedagogical approach. So it's, again, not really thinking about what this generator can do. It's thinking about what is my need? Where is the gap? Is it personalized learning? Am I trying to do more personalized learning? Am I doing adaptive teaching? What is it that I need? And then looking at the tool. Then we've been looking at TeacherMatic and where it's been giving us generators, for example, some that you've seen, the quizzes, the worksheets, the flashcards have been brilliant as well, and how we can implement this into our teaching practice. You've got there, we've been really thinking about enhanced thinking, because we don't, again, going back to that kind of that stage thinking, we didn't want it just to be putting it in and then that's it. We really wanted the teachers to really think and review and go back and edit and make sure that they can, again, generate deeper of their knowledge as well there. You can see some of the kind of percentages, because we did send a survey out to see, and we had 80% of our educators now, our teachers, are using it for resources, and that's for quizzes, for worksheets, pace of lesson, so where they're looking at challenging children as well, where they're looking at how they can move on, deeper learning. A lot of teachers said that that's where it's been used. We had 40% of our teachers use it for collaborating, so it's open up discussions and coming up with those big questions and helping them really think about those big questions and what they can do to really spark that thinking and how else that can kind of go. And inclusion has been brilliant. Those removing those barriers. So again, we had half of our teachers say where they've been using it for personalizing, adapting for SEM, for English as an additional language. And you could have seen right from our beginning of that, my slides about the content there, that we are very high above national in English as an additional language, for example, and special educational needs. So these are some of the strategies we've really been looking at and getting that impact and getting it from teachers and from pupils to really be able to kind of help us to move forward. Some of these have come up through. We have got case studies on a lot of these strategies and some more that we are kind of really working. And this is all coming from the teachers in the classroom, from the pupils and what we're observing. But just some general ideas here where things would take hours for teachers, thinking about the quiz, the design, how to make it. It was like 2 to 3 hours. Now we're talking about 20 minutes, some of these things where they generating it, but still going back and really thinking about it and refining those details. So we don't want them to be, it's not about how quick you can do it, or we don't want them to rush it in any kind of way, but we want them to have a good start on it. So then they're able to refine it and spend some more time, again, with other things that they need to kind of be looking at as well. And we know that some of the work here that you've got is those lesson sequences, 6 weeks lesson sequences, where you're mapping out progression, for example, where it would take you hours and hours. How now we've got a really good way and a good kind of start, a starting point to really kind of continue. So these are some of our findings. Again, like I said, we have got this very much more in detail, and how we're looking at really how it's making those impacts in our lessons as well. Key questions we came up with. So again, when we're working really closely with the TeacherMatic, the team, Peter, Isham, again, that communication and working together is so key, because you are implementing this for a bigger scale at that point. So you need to make sure that, again, you've got that really good relationship. And TeacherMatic has been brilliant for us, because we've had that communication where I could say, oh, what about this? How does this security work? Or our GTP officer is asking for this information. where is the data stored? So lots of lots of learning at that time as well is happening for us. But again, that relationship about working with the company has been absolutely amazing throughout the whole process of implementing this, and making sure that we were happy when we were implementing TeacherMatic, that we had all the questions answered. And we went through lots of questions. Some of these questions you can see, like Peter was saying, where the data was handled, where is it kept? Again, a lot of questions coming from leaders. Is it safe if I upload something, and where is it going to store? All of those type of questions coming through. And again, it's that kind of working together, which I think that has made this very much more successful for us as well. Oh, jump there. Professional development is ongoing, and that CPD is so key throughout the whole process of implementing this. So while we were implementing, again, thinking about where the need was to the tools, again, that teacher training, that knowledge and that skill is so key. We were very, we work, again, like I said, very closely with TeacherMatic, where, they did webinar, they did online training for us. They came and did face-to-face training for our staff, really answered those questions. It was very hands-on for them. So they were able to kind of hands-on go and try it out with their own planning and how that could work. And this is ongoing. So it's not that we do it once and then that's it. It's always, we kind of touch base in there and making sure that the teachers have got that skill and that knowledge throughout. And some teachers are ready more than others. And we, again, work with those individual teachers. So sometimes we even do one-to-one training. If it's a staff training, it might be informal chats that we have. We have learning hubs, so across our whole trust, where we share practice and we talk about what's working and what we need to work on more. And again, it's about making sure that there's not too many, but it's working with those platforms that you really feel like that will make that difference as well. Where we are in our stage, so you can see where we were first very much exploring, having lots of those discussions and whys and the visions and the principles, to really now implementing this in the classroom, getting views from the teachers, from the staff, from admin staff of how they're using it. If it's for interview question, if it's for policies as well, all of those type of different kind of questions, really seeing where it's making the difference. And then next year, hopefully, we'll be working on publishing and really kind of putting this into an impact report, which then not only does it help, obviously, what we're doing, but helps those teachers to see where is it, what strategies are working really well that they can then use again to free up some of their time. Saving time, but at least freeing up that time so they're able then to have those discussions more with the pupils, for example, in the classroom, discuss more about their learning or their feedback, why, and not doing so much of that kind of paperwork as well. At the moment, you'll see throughout the process since our journey, we've really looked at kind of the first year, we looked at those kind of the beliefs, the intentions, the strategies. We have got an impact report for pedagogical practice and what we've been doing. Again, and how we've implemented this and how teachers are using with time. We looked at autonomy in action, and that was very much looking at how we want our pupils to be very much more independent learners, and how does that look like? What is that? How do we get them to deeper think about knowledge and move on their own knowledge as well with some of these great tools that we have now. And then hopefully next year we'll be seeing more of our how we're using AI in our teaching with a bit more impact as well, and a bit more data there as well. So thank you very much. Hopefully that's been really helpful for some of you to see that journey and to see how we've really implemented that, and that thinking about it's not just that tool, it's about thinking about where is it coming, why are you doing it, and introducing the tool itself. We have got, I'll leave you with that question to kind of take away and have a little think about, it does make that much difference, even thinking about it in that way. But we have got a digital discovery day at one of our schools. If you would like to see a little bit more about how we are using these strategies, and where teachers, you can talk to some of the teachers about how they are using, for example, TeacherMatic, to kind of look at the planning, the quizzes, the adaptive teaching. Please join us on Wednesday, the 24th of June as well. We'd be more than happy to. But if there's anything else in the slides that you would like to discuss further, I'll be more than happy as well. But thank you, and I'll pass you on back on to Peter.
Well, thank you very much, Gulab, and I hope, whatever sector you're from, I think we can all learn a lot from the amount of planning and thought and strategy that's gone into how the Multi-Academy Trust that Gulab works at has put into implementing AI via TeacherMatic.
So really appreciate everyone for coming, and want to thank Gulaf for her fantastic presentation, and really wish you a lovely afternoon.